What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and this is part 3 of my journey through the Pixar timeline. This is the future in the Pixar world. Now, if you guys want to get caught up on what the Pixar theory is, it basically says that all the Pixar movies are connected in one big connected universe, starting with Elemental and ending with Monsters Inc. or Brave, depending on how exactly you want to look at it. And that's definitely how I actually look at it. Now, this is part 3, so if you guys want to get all caught up, please go ahead and watch videos 1 and 2, and you can find those by clicking the card here. But guys, let's go ahead and let's jump into the future of the Pixar theory. Now, when we last left off on the Pixar theory, we left off with Soul and the modern times. And what this is going to lead us inevitably into is the future of Pixar world. And we are actually going to get to start here with Cars 1, 2, and 3. Now, what Cars shows us is a couple of things. One, humans are no longer on the planet. And this is more than likely due to the pollution that we started seeing way back in Finding Dory. Two, the cars have came to life in the order in which they would have been made throughout the human timeline. So as human 1960s, you would get Cars 1960s, and then they just wake up in order of their essentially their make year and their model year with the personalities of the people that owned them. So Lightning McQueen actually has the personality of the human Lightning McQueen. And where have we seen that before in the Pixar timeline? Now, as I went over last video, Woody from Toy Story 4 actually took in Andy's parts of Andy's soul and Andy's personality to come to life. Now he came to life in his own way with his own kind of personality, but I think that's because he had kind of a built-in background because he is a toy, so he kind of already had like some built-in personality. But Cars really wouldn't have had that. So what they've done is they just take their original owner's personality, just make it their own. The problem with this though is there are no more people for them to draw this power from. So it's the connection and basically the leftover magic of the world that's brought these inanimate things to life, these lifeless things, and given them life, just like the toys, except there's no humans for them to continue drawing this power from. So what does that inevitably cause? It's going to cause the cars not to be able to continue on. And we actually can find that in the fact that they're actually having a fuel crisis in Cars 2. And that's not really addressed in Cars 3, but in Cars 3, we see that they're actually rapidly approaching modern times, or what we would consider modern times with the race cars and more modern cars and modern technology, as opposed to what you would think they should be doing. So essentially, the magic is running out fast, so they're going faster, which will inevitably lead to them making the same mistakes that we've made throughout our time on this planet in the Pixar world, and causing them to just simply further pollute and destroy the planet. And we see all of that actually culminating in Wall-E. Now, in Wall-E, we see that there is this lone little robot who is just continuing to do his task. We see that this corporation, by and large, has essentially monopolized everything on the planet. And we've seen by and large in the Pixar 3 as early as Toy Story, because by and large actually has the batteries that operate Buzz Lightyear. And we see it again in Up. They're the people who are trying to buy up Carl's house in Up. But we see what they've done in Wall-E is they actually had to take it a step further, and they have completely ruined the planet. They have made it so polluted that very few things can survive, except, as we saw in Cars, things from the water, because they are separate from humans, essentially, in this world, and bugs, which we'll get to within the next movie of A Bug's Life. But for now, what we also see is that while humans have been on the axioms and left the planet, AI has now fully taken over the humans. Essentially, it's taken over their lives. It's made it where they literally have to do nothing. It's basically turned humans into its playthings. And how did it actually manage to do that? Probably because it's using humans like toys. So it's basically a role reversal. Whereas it used to be humans playing with toys in Toy Story, now it's toys, or now it's AI playing with humans like toys in Wall-E. What we've seen there is by the end of Wall-E is that Wall-E, who has this weird connection to humans and human things, has kind of developed his own soul, kind of like the toys did. And because of his connectedness to the humans' memories magic has actually managed to leach into Wall-E, giving him kind of a pseudo life of his own. And I say pseudo because there's no human for him to draw a personality from. He's just collected enough memories and personalities from humans to where he's created his own. So he has his own life and his own soul, but it's not one person, if that makes sense. But by the end of Wall-E, though, we do actually see the axiom return to Earth, and plant life is actually starting to grow. So the Earth has managed to fix itself. And that's going to lead us really great into the next movie on Earth of A Bug's Life. But before we get there, guys, we're going to have to take a slight jump to the right because Pixar decided once again to remind us that magic does indeed exist in the Pixar universe. Now, Onward does not take place on Earth. It's very obvious that it doesn't. There's multiple suns, there are mythical creatures. But what we see in Onward is magic was once very commonly used, and everybody who had magic was considered a great help to society in the Wizards, to the point where by the time of the story in Onward, it's actually just fallen off because technology has caught up with it, which is, interestingly enough, basically what we've seen throughout the Pixar timeline. Magic took a step back for technology, and technology has kind of reached up to its peak that we've seen in Wall-E, with the artificial intelligence actually taking its full control over the humans. The beauty of Onward is, though, is it shows us that magic can still exist within the Pixar universe, and it can still be brought to the forefront if one is willing and has the innate capability of actually being able to use magic. And we see that with the main character of Onward, where he didn't think magic was really worth looking into, essentially. I guess they all kind of know magical things exist, but it's very rare. And their dad was actually a wizard, and his son ends up actually being a wizard as well and starts using magic in his everyday life. And that is going to come into play for us in our world when we see Boo in Monsters Inc. But we're going to get there here in a little bit. Now we can jump back over to A Bug's Life, which I believe I can put rather helpfully right here. And what this really does show us is that insects have continued to move forwards and ant colonies have gotten more advanced. But they haven't been able to take over because the world was so polluted. They really just kind of had to stay in their own little thing. But we see in A Bug's Life is where there's not a lot of humans around, but the earth has managed to mend itself enough to where you can kind of get a broader span of animals, and the earth has actually started to fully function again and is moving back to being somewhat stable. However, you can't get rid of that much radiation and pollution. So what has happened is humans, probably through their old monster genetics and monster and magic that has been just innately within them this entire time, just kind of suppressed within their genes, have managed to either evolve into monsters, or animals have managed to evolve into monsters because humans just couldn't take it. Humans probably came back and started rebuilding society, but they just couldn't handle the levels. So one way or the other, I don't like the whole humans interbred with animals thing. We've like recognized that animals are just as smart as humans within this universe, and that was accepted for a while, but I don't think we ever would have gotten to that point. So the two branching theories here are is either humans evolved into monsters or animals evolved into monsters. But either way, we've got monsters. And what are the monsters having a problem with? They are having a problem with energy. They can't get enough energy because there are no humans left for them to draw energy from. The human memory magic is very important within the Pixar universe. But what they have figured out how to do is to time travel back in time through the use of doors to go into human worlds, and essentially through scaring kids, implanting the scary scares in their memory, steal that energy and take it back to the future, which coincidentally may cause some of the energy crises we see throughout the Pixar theory, but there's not really much to connect that. I'm just thinking if they're taking a bunch of energy from kids and bringing it to the future, it's probably is what held back the toys and other things for the most part all the way throughout this timeline. So it's a good little time loop situation here. But how are they making these doors work? Well, we actually get our answer to that in Brave. In Brave, the witch uses doors to essentially just move from one area to another without going anywhere. They go in, it's a wood carving shop, they go out, go back in, it's then her magic place. So never conjure where you carve is basically what she says. So the theory goes here is in Monsters Incorporated, Boo is brought to the future in the monsters world. There she meets Sully. She meets her best friend. She's a very young little girl, but his memory is implanted within her mind. And Boo, wanting to see her friend again, because as far as we know canonically, they only saw each other one other time after the events of Monsters Inc. So that was probably the last time Sully ever actually got to see Boo. But Boo doesn't want that to be her last time she gets to see Scully. So what does she do in her life? She goes and starts trying to learn how to use magic. Now, Boo is potentially born about the time where supers are exist. So we already have superpowered people. So she knows it's possible for powers or magic to exist within this universe. So the idea is she learns how to essentially have time magic, and she uses that to travel through doors into the past. She can't go to the future because that's not how the door magic works. The door magic goes as long as the connection is there, you can go from your current time to the past and then to your current time. So she can't go to the future to see Sully, but what she can do is she can go to the past in Brave and essentially create a time loop where all of the events that I have just given within the Pixar world can basically rehappen to where she can ensure she gets to see her friend one more time. And this little girl is what creates the entire Pixar time loop. But guys, that is pretty much it. That is the entire story of the Pixar theory as of recording this video. So up on the slate, I do believe Pixar is planning an Inside Out too. So we'll probably get more insight into the emotions and how they go. But I love how all of these movies, you can trace this connectiveness. Elemental can create the world that can lead to the Good Dinosaur, which can shift the timeline of our planet, which can lead into Brave, which can bring magic into the world, which gives you the supers, it can give you the toys, it can give you the cars, it can give you the technology, and all of these things drawing their power from the people in one big connected thing. And you guys, the most fun about the Pixar theory is it doesn't have to be real. It's just fun to try and make it real. And that's what I challenge you guys to do. In the comments below, let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if some of the things I said don't actually make sense. Let me know what you guys think. Where did I go wrong? Where did I get it right? Would you guys like for me to go more in depth into some of these characters or more in depth into some of these stories and explain some more of the topics that I actually brought up while I was doing this three-part series of mine? And while you're down there, guys, please remember, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell so you never miss another video from me, and I will see you guys in the next video.